who can it be now? I'm an American singer, songwriter influenced by rock, soul, blues and reggae with 13 albums to my name, including one released last year. Born in Brooklyn in
Am I allowed to guess?
You can't guess, no, Kira, you just can't.
I know it though.
I know. The trouble is, you know who it is, so it's cheating.
It might be the only answer I get right.
You won't be. It will not be, but it is cheating. So yes, a bit of shush. You can't do it. But you can buzz in when you're ready, obviously. Born in Brooklyn in 1943, I began singing in New York street corner vocal groups, then in folk clubs like the Bitter End and the Gaslight. My first solo album was on Atlantic Records in 1973, and my first single has become something of an anthem for the skate community and lately connected to the Occupy Wall Street movement. Wild in the Streets was included on my 1977 album Ghost Rider. Yes, Christian?
Garland Jeffries.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the Rock Quiz stage and to Australia, Garland Jeffries.
In the heat of the summer, better call up the plumber. Turn on the street pump to cool me off. Your newspaper writers, big crime fighters, still need a drugstore to cue my car. Running wild in the streets. Hey, wild in the streets. Wild in the streets. I said wild, wild, wild. Wild in the streets. Wild in the New York City streets. Wild, wild, wild. I say wild in the streets. We got a gang called Shady, a midnight lady. Two transvestites don't beat the band. You better not touch us, you best believe us. Your teenage Johnny's gonna be a man. Wild in the streets. Oh, wild in the streets, streets, yeah. Wild in the streets. Hey, wild in the streets. Mrs. America, tell me, how is your favorite son? Do you really care what he has done? Running wild in the streets. Oh, wild in the streets. I say wild in the streets, streets, yeah. Wild, wild, wild. I say wild in the streets, wild in the streets, wild in the streets. Wild in the streets. I say wild in the streets. 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 I said wild, wild, wild. Oh, wild in the streets. 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 I said wild in the streets. Wild in the streets. Wild in the streets. All right. Thank you. Thanks so much. Wild in the street. Wild in the street.
Well, hello to you, Garland.
Hello, my dear.
How are you?
Great.
Garland, we are delighted to have you on the show. Welcome to Australia, first time.
This is my first time for sure. I've been wanting to come for so long. Joe Camilleri is a good friend of mine over many years, and I've never gotten here, but now here I
Now
am.
you can hang out with everyone, and his
Yeah.
son-in-law as well. That's good news.
He says that he wants me to be his babysitter for his kids.
Is that right?
While he goes out and
Wow.
runs around, you know.
Yeah, I wouldn't take that up. So you began singing on street corners in New York.
Yeah.
How would that come about? Did you have friends that did it?
Yeah, I had two older friends who were fantastic. One singer, Davy Nichols,
he could sing as good or better than Smokey Robinson. And we would, right outside of my house on a street corner, we would do our I'm not a know-it-all, don't know why the treetops fall. That kind of sound, you know. And I started liking some great singers from that period. I mean, originally it came out of the jazz that my parents were listening to, but then it went to Frankie Lyman. Frankie Lyman was my idol. He was just a stunning singer, you know.
Now, you were good friends with Lou Reed. Where did you first meet Lou?
We met each other at school, Syracuse University, upstate New York, and we were friends for 50 years. And it's so sad that he's gone. We did some memorial things for him and for his wife. Just a sad thing. He and I were very close, especially in the past year while he was going through his difficult times.
When was the first time you performed together?
Oh, wow. I guess we probably performed up at Syracuse in some makeshift situation. But later on, down in the village, in the East Village, at the Balloon Farm, when the Velvets were first coming together, I joined them and we sang some songs, you know. But, he was determined to have this band, the Velvet Underground. And occasionally I would sing with him. And occasionally he would meet me in clubs and he'd jump on stage and sing. And I'll remember one particular time that he came with his wife, Laurie Anderson, and I was singing, and I started singing a song that he loved, I'm Not a Know-It-All, which has that 50s kind of feeling. And he got down on his knees and he hailed me.
All hail.
Yes.
I love it.
It was so great.
That's lovely.
So great. He and I were very close.
What was the first concert you ever went to as a young man?
I went to the Alan Freed shows in Brooklyn, the Brooklyn Paramount.
Yes.
You know, where you saw Bo Diddley and you saw Fats Domino. Just phenomenal. Clyde McPhatter, these kind of voices, you know. And these are the voices, these are the great voices of R&B and that really started out the singing and fantastic.
And what about the first bit of music you ever bought?
Frankie Lyman was my number one choice. And just all those songs of that period, you know.
Did you ever get to meet a Frankie Lyman or those guys?
No, I never met Frankie Lyman. I certainly wish that I had, because he was my role model in a certain way. His size, his voice. Wow, what a voice he had! If you haven't heard him or heard of him, you should go out and get some of his albums or some of his work. Just brilliant. If all that I had was a moonbeam, I'd share that moonbeam with you. Like that kind of a sound,
Gorgeous.
you know, really fantastic.
Gorgeous. Parla italiano, Garland?
Parlo italiano, sì.
Perché?
Perché abitavo a Firenze una volta per studiare la lingua e studiare il Rinascimento.
Sì.
Era importante per me. Ero là durante il periodo dove Kennedy era morto.
So he was in Italy studying as a student in Firenze when John Kennedy was
killed.
assassinated, and you heard the news there. It would have been incredible, surrounded by other American students in that period.
I was with there were probably 40, 50 other students. And of course, everybody was in shock. It was a very devastating kind of experience.
I love that you speak Italian because parla francese.
Yeah, je parle français un petit peu.
Sprechen Sie Deutsch?
No, Deutsch. I can barely go to a German bakery.
I didn't say anything. Well, benvenuto, Garland. Ladies and
Grazie.
gentlemen, your second team for tonight.
Baci, 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 baci. Yeah.